Hello and welcome to this special interim edition of the IABC International Podcast. My name's Dan Gold and this episode is a little bit different. For a start, if you're watching this, you'll know that it's not particularly only in audio. By the way, if you're listening to this, I'll put the link in the description of the episode so you can watch this. Although I do promise it's exactly the same. There's that, but also it's an interim edition. What do I mean by it being an interim edition? Well, to put it bluntly, people are away on holidays during the summer, so what we're doing is doing one key episode in July and August and 2 interim episodes in between. It gives us an opportunity to catch up on previous episodes, but not only that, I want to tell you on this interim episode and the one in August about other productions made around the IABC world. This month, I'd like to tell you about the wonderful podcast from IABC Houston. It's called The Business Communicator, and it's fantastic. It's recorded brilliantly, it's hosted well, and most importantly, the content is incredible. It's very conversational and totally listenable, and I love it. Some of the topics have included fake news, as we've touched on once or twice, and South by Southwest and influencers. So do go and check that out. I'll put the link in the description of this episode, but it's called The Business Communicator. It's wonderful. If you haven't shared this podcast with colleagues and friends and people in your chapter, then please do so. We believe that we're producing content that is for each and every member and potential member. So do share this. If you're listening, hit that share button and share it with at least one person, because we would like more and more people from across the IABC world to truly get value from these productions. The IABC podcast is not the only thing that the panel of producers makes. We also assist in different regions with people's video production and also advising them on what equipment they need to make their own podcast and such like. The panel of producers is looking for some volunteers, and when we get to the summer, I really do assess my volunteering portfolio. I don't know whether you're the same, but that's what I do. So I've got 2 voluntary roles that I'm looking to fill at this time. Firstly, for a production assistant or production coordinator. It's a brilliant role. It's not very time consuming, but it is essential for the success of the productions that we make. What does it mean to be a production coordinator or a production assistant? Well, effectively, you're the connective tissue, the glue that pulls the episodes together, or certainly the person that coordinates the interviews we have, connecting the interviewer and the interviewee, making sure that it's the right interviewee for a topic, or maybe even working on some of the suggested questions or the shape of a podcast or video. And of course, being IABC, we are a global organisation, so managing time zones is, well, pretty much essential to what we do. So that's the first role. The second role is we're looking for someone to really put together some great little graphics for us. Nothing hugely complex, but if you've got the ability to use Canva or InDesign, we would like to help our friends over at IABC have assets that can really market and share the stories that we tell in the IABC International Podcast. So if you have some experience of that, we would really appreciate you joining the team and once a month, twice a month, help us out in pre-producing some graphics that then can be shared out on the IABC channels. So how do you get in touch? It's really straightforward. You can email news@iabc.com and put in there panel of producer volunteers in the subject line, or you can DM our Twitter account, which is @IABCPOP for Panel of Producers. So that's @IABCPOP. Do consider those roles. I'm looking for you to join our team, and I'm very excited about the future of the Panel of Producers. If you are sharing the podcast, it's just struck me, then you should also help people know where to find the IABC International Podcast. It's very straightforward. You can go to anchor.fm/IABC. That's the main host of where we put all of our episodes. Or if you search on iTunes, or I should say Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on TuneIn, you will find, when you search IABC International Podcast, you will find the podcast itself. And also, if you have a Spotify or iHeartRadio subscription, again, you can search for IABC International Podcast and hit the subscribe button on any of those channels. We really would appreciate it, and do share the message of the stories that we tell and talk about the people of IABC. So our next full episode, it's on August the 7th. It's with Lisa Beck, who is the instructional designer from IABC, and we talk about her journey into joining IABC, what an instructional designer does, and what it means for the IABC Academy in terms of programming now and in the future. It was a fantastic conversation. I cannot wait for you to hear that. Again, that's on August the 7th, so do make sure that you are subscribed before it drops, or just keep an eye out on our social channels and we will let you know when it goes live. Talking of the podcast, if you haven't listened before, we have a feature called Chapter of the Week. One of our missions is to connect the IABC world together in another way. One of the things we like to do is Chapter of the Week, where we look at different chapters from around the world, and in some cases regions, and we talk about the economy in those areas, why people should visit there, why people work there, what's the population size, and if a chapter has an anchor event, a big event that they anchor all of their programming off for the year, then tell us about that as well. If you haven't been featured as Chapter of the Week yet, do submit your chapter to be featured. Again, you can get in touch with all the usual contact details, and the easiest way, honestly, is via direct message on the @IABCPOP Twitter account. It's super easy to get in touch. Well, that leaves me to say thank you. Thank you for supporting what we do, and thank you for listening to this episode. My name's Dan Gold, and you can always get in touch with me via the IABC Pop account or @DanGoldMedia. And of course, it leaves me to say one thing. Thank you, and this is an IABC production.